Coming soon to own on DVD.
Right. But why, though?
Hey guys, welcome to Get Busy Watching. I'm your host, Honest Dan. Let's talk movies.
Relax, be cool, 'cause if you don't, you'll act like a fool, so be cool.
In commemoration of the upcoming sequel? Reboot? The Suicide Squad, I'm taking a look back on something a wee bit different. The animated Suicide Squad movies by WAG. All two of them. Really, only two. Why do I not believe that? I mean, the squad's been featured in other animated movies before, but really, only Hell to Pay and Assault on Arkham Asylum? Anyway, as much as I love the shared animated universe, somehow I missed out on both of these. I don't know how. Don't ask me, I plead the fifth so I don't have to tell you anything. But I'm pretty stoked to be checking these out in the coming weeks, so yeah, let's start with this. This is my honest opinion of Suicide Squad Hell to Pay. Amanda Waller, voiced by Vanessa Williams, is putting together Task Force X, consisting of Deadshot, voiced by Christian Slater, Harley Quinn, voiced by Tara Strong, Bronze Tiger, voiced by Billy Brown, Killer Frost, voiced by Kristen Bauer Van Straten, Captain Boomerang, voiced by Liam McIntyre, and Copperhead, voiced by Gideon Emery. It turns out that Amanda is dying, and she's after a male stripper named Steel Maxim, voiced by Greg Grunberg, who used to be Dr. Fate and has a mystical card that may or may not have granted its user the ability to bypass hell and go straight to heaven instead. However, the squad discovers that the card is now in the possession of Scandal Savage, voiced by Danaya Ramirez, the daughter of the immortal villain Vandal Savage, voiced by Jim Peary, who wants the card for himself.
Dr. Fate, I used to be Dr. Fate, okay?
Shut up.
It's true.
Hold on. This is all wrong. The Suicide Squad is supposed to be a bunch of misunderstood heroic figures who are able to relate to one another. They're supposed to be like a dysfunctional family, and they're supposed to... It's an uplifting story about finding redemption.
Shut the fuck up!
But for real though, this was awesome. Until I've seen Assault on Arkham Asylum, I am pretty sure this is the most violent of WAG's DC animated movies. If not, I would say that Flashpoint and Apocalypse War come to mind as strong contenders. But even then, I don't know, man, this is pretty up there. This doesn't mess around with its content. It knows exactly what it wants to depict and knows what it wants to get away with. And I would say it gets away with a ton. I mean, look at this. Fingers getting cut off, then sliced diagonally. This dude bisected. Look at that. That's bone right there. I would never expect this kind of violence in something other than hardcore anime. Not anything made in America. Not that this really compares to something like Blood Sea. In fact, this might as well be a soft PG-13 by comparison, but compared to the hardest of hardcore R-rated films I've seen, this is pretty gruesome and I love it. Keep the superheroes squeaky clean, that's fine, but when it comes to villain-centric stories, you keep that for the adults and be proud, damn it. Not to mention the briefest of glimpses at nudity. Can't win them all, I guess.
No peeking.
Madam, I'm a surgeon. I've seen bodies before.
Not that I've read a Suicide Squad comic in my life, but I imagine that fans would have preferred this depiction of the squad over whatever the DCEU tried to roll out. Villains being villains. I mean, I guess it only makes sense to have at least one or two more heroic characters around to serve as a humane center, like Deadshot and Bronze Tiger, but for the most part, everyone's a villain. Then again, there's also Harley, who's just in her own little world, and thank God for that. Tara Strong is so great.
This nutjob was frisking the boys. I had to cool her off.
Psychotics have needs, you know. We have needs.
But that's what feels right about this. It's a bunch of villains trying to stay alive and figure out how to one-up the other guy. But it doesn't forget to be funny, like the Squad driving a janky RV. And what is it about Killer Frost driving that makes me giggle so much? So much fun! However, like most things in life, it has flaws. It hurts to talk about them, but I'm gonna. Way too many characters. 3, count 'em 3 factions all vying for the Get Out of Hell free card. And at least one of them is not necessary. You have the Squad, fair enough. Their name is in the title of this movie. But what I'm referring to is Zoom, voiced by C. Thomas Howell, as well as Vandal Savage and his lesbian team. Holy crap, guys, would you like to throw in the Justice League while you're at it? Give this movie credit, it doesn't linger too long on any of the other factions other than the Squad, which is enough to wipe sweat off my brow. But that begs the question, why bother with the other factions if they're not going to get a fair amount of attention? I would say, at least by the end of the story, the more compelling character to serve as the antagonist to the Squad would be Zoom, since his appearance in this movie is directly tied to the events of Flashpoint Paradox. I don't think I've ever seen these movies make direct references to others, unless I missed something.
In the old days, you never needed help. What's the problem?
You might say everything.
But the worst part is, their motivations do not make a lick of sense, or aren't properly established. Why does Zoom want the card? According to him, and if I'm interpreting his words correctly, the events in this movie are technically taking place concurrently to Flashpoint. He's technically dying from Thomas Wayne's headshot right now, but is keeping himself alive via vague Speed Force logic, and wants the card for... what? Is Zoom religious or something? Does he think he'll survive somehow with the card in his possession? I don't get it. What use does he have for the card? For that matter, why does Savage want it? Same questions. Religion? Misguided belief in preventing death? I just don't quite get it.
I've had more brushes with death in the last 10 years than all the centuries preceding, thanks to the emergence of metahumans.
I don't pretend to think that this is a perfect film, but it was cool and badass. Pretty much the antithesis of the DCEU film, which in my book makes this leagues better. Violence, comedy, it has a heart to it, but it's black as night. So if there's any Suicide Squad property that I'm going to recommend to get you in the mood for James Gunn's new movie, it's going to be this one. Maybe Assault. We'll see. My honest rating for Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay, a 4 out of 5.
And let me tell you, I was hella hot. Superhero hot.
Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Stay safe and healthy out there. Hope to see you soon. One final caveat as you guys move on with your day, I've decided to test my luck at a Patreon, so please consider supporting the channel. No obligations, of course, no content is gated off, but any and all contributions would mean a lot. Link in the description. Have a great one, folks.